What if the year 1492 wasn't the end, but a new beginning? What if the vibrant, multicultural world of Al-Andalus, the Islamic kingdom on the Iberian Peninsula, never fell? Imagine a Europe where the southern tip of Spain and Portugal remained a powerful Islamic state, thriving into the modern age. How would this single change rewrite the entire story of our world? Let's explore. The fall of Granada in 1492 marked the end of Al-Andalus and the completion of the Christian Reconquista. This unified Spain and set the stage for Columbus's voyage. But in our alternate timeline, this never happens. Al-Andalus survives. Perhaps through a crucial military victory, a brilliant diplomatic treaty, or even a timely internal crisis in the Christian kingdoms of Castile and Aragon, the final conquest is thwarted. Instead of being erased, Al-Andalus modernizes. It might evolve into a constitutional monarchy or even an advanced republic, a permanent Islamic political force in Western Europe. The year 1492, instead of being remembered for expulsion and discovery, might be celebrated as the year of the Grand Treaty of Córdoba, a pact that solidifies Al-Andalus's sovereignty and redraws the map of Europe forever. The most immediate consequence, Spain, as we know it, would not exist. The Reconquista was the forge that hammered the disparate Christian kingdoms into a single nation. Without that final victory, the Iberian Peninsula remains divided. To the south, the flourishing Islamic State of Al-Andalus. To the north, a collection of separate Christian kingdoms Castile, Aragon, and Portugal locked in a permanent state of rivalry and vigilance. This isn't just a historical footnote, this division persists right up to the present day, creating a geopolitical reality unlike anything in our history. This divided peninsula would completely alter the age of exploration. In our history, a unified Spain, flush with victory, financed Columbus's audacious voyage. But in this timeline, the Christian kingdoms can't afford such a gamble. Their resources, their best ships, and their most experienced sailors are all tied up defending their southern border against a powerful and technologically advanced neighbor. There is no spare cash for risky ventures across the Atlantic when a formidable rival sits right on your doorstep. But that doesn't mean the New World remains undiscovered. Al-Andalus, with its own powerful navy and extensive trade networks in the Mediterranean and North Africa, would be perfectly positioned to look west. Andalusi sailors, equipped with advanced navigational tools derived from centuries of Islamic science, might be the first to cross the Atlantic. The colonization of the Americas would be a completely different story. Instead of Spanish conquistadors, we might see Andalusi explorers establishing trading posts and colonies. The Americas would become a melting pot not just of European and indigenous cultures, but of Islamic, Arabic, and North African influences as well. Imagine cities in South America with mosques standing alongside cathedrals, and Arabic being spoken as commonly as Spanish or Portuguese. Back in Europe, Al-Andalus would be a kingmaker. It would be a constant, powerful player in the intricate game of European diplomacy. Imagine France, feeling threatened by the powerful Habsburgs, forming an alliance not with the Ottoman Empire, but with the sophisticated Caliphate of Córdoba. This permanent Islamic presence would force alliances and create rivalries we can't even fathom, making European history far more complex and multipolar. The continent would never be a purely Christian domain. The survival of Al-Andalus wouldn't just change maps and politics. It would supercharge the world's intellectual development. Historically, the Islamic Golden Age in places like Córdoba was a beacon of light during Europe's dark ages. It preserved and expanded upon Greek philosophy, mathematics, and science. The trickle of knowledge that flowed north and eventually sparked the Renaissance would become a continuous, powerful river. Instead of a slow, filtered transfer of ideas, we would see an open and constant exchange. The universities of Al-Andalus would work alongside those in Paris, Oxford, and Bologna. This could have accelerated the European Renaissance and the scientific revolution by centuries. Breakthroughs in mathematics, astronomy, and especially medicine might have occurred far earlier. Think of a world where complex algebra, advanced surgical techniques, and accurate models of the solar system are common knowledge hundreds of years ahead of schedule. Naval technology would also leap forward. The constant rivalry on the seas between Al-Andalus and the Christian kingdoms would create an arms race in shipbuilding, cartography, and navigation. Andalusi shipwrights, blending Mediterranean galley designs with Atlantic innovations, could pioneer new types of vessels, making global trade and travel faster and safer much earlier in history. The scientific and technical vocabulary of languages like Spanish and Portuguese would be saturated with Arabic, potentially establishing Arabic as a major European language of science and philosophy, right alongside Latin. Perhaps the most beautiful impact would be on culture. The historical period of relative interfaith harmony, known as the Convivencia, or coexistence, wouldn't be a forgotten memory, it would be a living, breathing reality. While never a perfect utopia, the survival of Al-Andalus means that for centuries, Muslims, Jews, and Christians would continue to live, work, and create together on the peninsula. Cities like Granada and Seville wouldn't be just museums of a lost past. They would be thriving, modern metropolises that continued to evolve their unique Islamic Iberian architectural styles. The Spanish Inquisition would never happen. The incredible intellectual and cultural wealth of the Sephardic Jewish community would remain in Iberia, continuing to act as a vital bridge between the Islamic and Christian worlds, enriching both. Daily life would be a symphony of blended traditions. The food would be a richer mix of North African spices and European ingredients. The music we know as flamenco, with its deep Moorish roots, would be an even more vibrant and complex art form. The entire culture would be a true Mediterranean melting pot, a unique fusion of African, European, and Middle Eastern influences that would feel both familiar and fantastically different. The ripple effects would be global. Across the Strait of Gibraltar, Al-Andalus would act as a bridge, not a barrier, between North Africa and Europe. This could lead to a more stable, prosperous, and integrated Western Mediterranean, profoundly changing the fate of nations like Morocco and Algeria. And what about the great Islamic power in the East, the Ottoman Empire? Seeing a powerful, scientifically advanced Islamic counterpart in the West would be a game-changer. Al-Andalus would be both an ally and a rival, spurring a healthy competition for prestige, knowledge, and military innovation across the entire Islamic world. This rivalry could have prevented the Ottoman decline, keeping it a dynamic global power for much longer and completely rewriting the history of the Middle East and the Balkans. The survival of Al-Andalus paints a picture of a world that is more diverse, more complex, and in many ways, more advanced. But it also leaves us with a profound question. In a world history that saw the relentless rise of the nation-state, could such a multi-faith, multicultural society truly have survived the pressures of nationalism and modern warfare? Or was its eventual decline, in some form, inevitable? We are left to wonder about a world where the spirit of Córdoba never faded. What do you think? If Al-Andalus had survived, which nation do you believe would have become the dominant power in the Americas? Let us know your alternate history theories in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey into a world that might have been, please give this video a like, subscribe for more what-if scenarios, and share it with your fellow history buffs. Thanks for watching.